come tomorrow. It's almost midnight here at T-Mobile Arena, where the Golden Knights played about as poorly a playoff game as you're going to see them play. I guess the third period wasn't terrible. Overtime, they kind of were all right for a little bit, and then it kind of fell apart. But the first 30 minutes and really most of, I guess, I would even say most of the first two periods, obviously they get the 4-on-4 goal, they get the shorthanded goal to kind of give themselves a chance there. It's not good. It was not good. And we're going to kind of go over some of the things that Dallas did a little bit differently, some of the things Vegas did not do very well in this game. Obviously, the story from Vegas's perspective is clearly Logan Thompson. Arguably the best goaltending performance we've seen in a Golden Knights jersey at any point. Unfortunately, it ends up coming in a loss. It ends up coming with a puck going over his shoulder and ending in overtime late in that first overtime. It is certainly disappointing that they did not take advantage of what was a great performance and basically a rescue job for 18 skaters that did not show up in front of him for the first 30 minutes of the game and maybe even onward. And then in overtime, it looked like Vegas ran out of gas a little bit more than Dallas did. I thought both teams were kind of running out of gas, but to have an opportunity where that puck gets chipped along the boards, they win the board battle in the neutral zone, and now there's speed coming at you. I thought Vegas was in a position where they should have had a little bit of a better gap there, and they don't have it, and now they kind of wait it out and get it in deep, and then Johnson's been trying low. He tries one high, and it finally does beat Thompson. And to make matters even worse on Logan, I don't think they made life easy on him by giving all these chances up early and then coming back and basically giving up very little in the third period, and then not a ton in overtime. There were a few, but for the most part, that's a difficult situation to be in as a goaltender. So really just a disappointing night on that end, in that the Golden Knights have gotten the better goaltending in the series. They've gotten one of their better goaltending performances basically ever, and you walk out of here with a loss. So what was different? What changed? So the thing that's going to jump off the page to anybody, this is just the way it goes in playoff series. A team's down 2-0. They're coming into your building. You know you're going to get something close to their best effort or something near their best effort or whatever. The word desperation is the one hockey coaches love to use. I think you just get a little bit more strength in puck battles. I think you get a little bit more willingness to do that back check, to do that reload, to put yourself in a position to go to the net and stop there and know that you're going to take some punishment. I think you saw a little bit more of that. But to me, desperation is not what led to Dallas taking control of this game early in the game and really dominating the Golden Knights and putting up some ridiculous expected goal numbers, ridiculous odd man rush numbers, all of it. All of that to me is not just them caring more or them wanting it more, or so whatever stupid phrase we use, because that's how we decide to talk about hockey. I don't know why we do that, but we do. The reason why this game did not go very well for the Golden Knights was twofold. One, they were terrible in the neutral zone offensively in the first period. When they had the puck, their neutral zone was a disaster. Absolute nightmare, turning the puck over time and time and time again and allowing waves of pressure coming back at them. The Dallas forecheck was not really on its game until maybe midway through the second period, maybe early in the second period. It wasn't what was causing it. This was not Vegas turning the puck over in their own end and giving these chances up right out in front. This was not inability to box out, turnovers that lead directly to passes. No, it was none of that. What it was Vegas was skating through the neutral zone and making the wrong decision over and over and over again. Stretch passes when it should have been tight passes, not enough layers, not enough dumping the puck in, forecheck not getting there, not dealing with the rim outs very well, not dealing with the pinching very well. All of it led to constant mistakes that are leading to either 3-on-2s where they have three forwards coming at Vegas, and Vegas has one defenseman and one forward back, or even worse, straight out 1-on-0 breakaways, or the rash of 2-on-1s. Think back to the regular season, even with a banged up team, even in situations where they have different players in the lineup, different players coming in and out, not having quite the same level of consistency and skills and strength that they have now, we did not see, I can't think of a single game all season long where the Golden Knights gave up 9 odd man rushes. And I don't even know if that number is right, but just off the top of my head, there are a ton of them. And amazingly, Logan erased like all of them, literally almost every single one of them. So if you think back to just, if you give breakaways, they had 3 really good breakaways. One of them, Carlson, broke up pretty good. They had at least 5, if not 6, 2-on-1s that were legitimate 2-on-1s, like no back checker in sight at all. Not saying they're not trying to come back. I'm saying they're not actually going to get back there and make the play. All of that, usually those are like 20, 30, 40% scoring chances. And they did not get any of them. Yes, they hit the one where Dadonov leaks out. That one ends up being almost a 3-on-1, and it takes a ridiculous shot from Heiskanen to actually finish it. So you look at what was going on and what was the big difference. So I asked Cassidy, what was the difference here? What did you see that allowed their transition game to all of a sudden just dominate you through 30 minutes, as opposed to in the 2 games in Dallas, they got almost nothing after the Jamie Benn breakaway? I think there was one other one. I want to say Sagan got a chance. But other than that, they got nothing in transition. And even better, Vegas having a lead in those games, they were not even able to get anything going through the neutral zone, constantly having to force the puck in deep and forecheck. And actually, their forecheck was better than it was today. I think Dallas was better forechecking in game 2 than they were in game 3, which is pretty amazing considering they killed the Golden Knights through the middle of the ice in this game. They didn't even need their forecheck. So here's what Cassidy said. But before I tell you, I'm going to tell you that every Periscope this season is brought to you by the Jimmerson Law Firm. The Jimmerson Law Firm is one of Las Vegas' preeminent law firms, specializing in high-stakes business, civil, and family litigation. When winning matters, seek out the Jimmerson Law Firm. Winning definitely matters. The Golden Knights need 2 more to win this series. Now, I will say, Dallas, a lot of talk that it's like a brand new series. It is not. The Golden Knights still lead 2-1. The next game is still here. The Golden Knights still have home ice advantage in this series. The Golden Knights have still won a whole bundle of games in a row in Dallas. Like, they're not in a bad spot. Yes, there are some issues. Here is what Cassidy said. He said the biggest difference is what was happening in the defensive zone, specifically deep in the defensive zone for Dallas, is they were getting the puck off their stick faster, making safer, simpler decisions, and then winning on second pucks. We don't really call that in this sport. That's a soccer term, but that's exactly what was happening. What happens, this is very common in soccer, when you play a team that is pressing you, that is on top of you, that is forechecking you and giving you trouble, you throw the puck out, or ball in that case, high and far, and then you hound that loose puck, the second one. So the second the puck gets down to the ice, you hound them. You challenge them, you win those opportunities. And if you can do it, you've now thrown the puck over at least 2 players, sometimes even 3, into a situation where now you have a player who has to deal with this bouncing puck in the neutral zone. And if you win it, you've now got a rush going the other way. If you at least muck it up, you've now got opportunities to get number forward and have an opportunity to get going the other way. Or if you win it clean, or if Vegas comes up and pinches and misses, which they did over and over and over today, then you have 2-on-1 rushes, 1-on-0 rushes, great opportunities the other way. They played a very simple defensive game that the Golden Knights struggled with, mostly along the walls. Interestingly enough, this has been Vegas' strategy for a long time. It was under DeBoer for a good portion of the time he was here. It has been under Cassidy at different times. They like to use the walls to exit. When the other team did it, Vegas typically is very good along the walls. Very good at making that puck stay in the zone, getting the additional help, pinching at the right time, making the right decisions, and doing the types of things that you need to do to make sure that these issues do not come down your throat over and over and over again. For me, here was the problem. Going through the neutral zone, Vegas was constantly making mistakes. So what ends up happening is either they're throwing the puck in deep when they don't have a forecheck, and now it's an easy exit or quick exit for Dallas, or they're just turning the puck over and putting themselves directly back under pressure. This did not actually lead to all that many great chances against for the Golden Knights in this game. It was not really what ended up leading them to give up all these chances. But what it did was it did not allow them to get into really any rhythm offensively, and it did not allow them to roll their lines in a way that they prefer. They were not getting the matchups that they wanted. They were not getting the situations that they wanted because they constantly were finding themselves throwing the puck in and having to change. It was not the other way around. So what ends up happening is now when you do finally have that opportunity and they have a mentality of simple exit up along the wall, now you have defensemen that are saying, we've got to keep this play alive because we have to find a way to generate some level of offense in this game. If we do not, then they're going to fly the other way and they're going to get these chances. Unfortunately, Vegas's pinches were a disaster, an absolute nightmare for 30 minutes. And it was at 5-on-5, at 4-on-4, they even got one. At when Vegas was on the power play, they got 2 opportunities. Like, it was terrible. As bad as it's been all season, arguably as bad as it's been for multiple years. The question now becomes, is that strategy, is that throw it up along the wall, rim the puck out, going to actually lead to the Golden Knights' inability to forecheck and having to back off that forecheck a little bit to force them to make plays to get out of their own zone? That is a question that I do have some concerns, or I don't know what necessarily the answer is. That being said, this is not some massive adjustment that all of a sudden Pete has come in with something brand new and the Golden Knights have never seen something like this before. No, instead, this is how they used to play. This is how Dallas played at the back end of game 2. This is what Dallas likes to do. They're just doing it even more to a level of simplicity than what we have saw. I might have to make a video on this on Monday. I'm going to look into it. If I can get enough clips, I might try and show that. But it will become very clear as you watch the game and as you understand some of what's going on and how their simple exits were eliminating Golden Knights forecheckers and then putting stick battles in places that if Vegas wins them, it doesn't really do all that much. But if Vegas loses them, it's a nightmare coming down their throats the other way. Obviously, Logan Thompson, the story of the day, will continue to be the story as we go forward. We'll see how he reacts to giving that one up. Nobody likes to have the best game of your life and end up leading, and it end up being one of the worst, literally the worst result. I guess there's an argument that he lost some of those shootouts and they missed the playoffs. Maybe those results are worse than this one. But to have that great of a game, to do that much positively, to save your team for as long as he did, and I will say, I specifically watched him on the Eichel goal. He celebrated that as if he scored, and he should have because he stopped it. He felt like he was a massive part of not only keeping the score low, but also generating the offense for Vegas because he was keeping them in it, keeping them alive. Unfortunately, they were not able to get into the situation where he was actually able to rescue them completely, get this thing to 3-0 and put us in a situation where this series is basically over. Instead, now he's going to have to come back after a very difficult game, having now played his 4th game in a row here. There was an extra day off. That is good. The more he plays, the more we are going to have to see how he handles all of this because it is a little bit different for him. That has not been the case for him in the past. We had the same thing with Brossoit. We had the same thing with Hill. We've been through this before. I don't think it's the end of the world, but every time we get something new, we're going to have to see how they react. By the way, wrong shoulder there. The dragon behind me is awesome. I was a little scared with what does it look like? We're taking out the Golden Knights helmet. We're putting in the dragon. I'm not big on the dragon thing because I don't really fully understand the realm and the knights and the armory. I don't understand it all. I don't really care. I don't follow the team because I like Knights. That's me with my football team. It's not with the hockey team. I don't give a shit. But that thing's really friggin' cool, and it is massive. Like, I just walked behind it for the first time. It's massive. It's awesome. They say it was 3D printed. The specs on it are insane. The thing's really cool. It does kind of breathe fire, which is pretty sick. I don't know exactly how it works. I was sitting way the hell over there, but it's pretty damn cool. So shout out to the Golden Knights production team for that thing. That thing is sick. The best thing that happened in this building tonight, right? So, yeah, that's pretty cool. On to the lines. So I'm still trying to figure this out, and we'll ask we will ask Cassidy tomorrow to get a little bit more information about this. I don't fully understand the decision to make some changes with your lines coming home 2-0, playing as well as they did defensively. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So the decision to move Howden back up with Stevenson and Stone, obviously that was a line that succeeded a year ago. You're getting something similar from Eichel, Barbashev, and Marchessault. So not surprising to say, well, we will probably get something similar from Stone, Stevenson, and Howden. The difference is, I don't know that Stone is quite to the level that he was at last season when he was helping drive that line. And when Stone isn't driving that line, Stevenson doesn't have as much impact on the game. Now you throw in another player that you're trying to drag along in Howden, as opposed to potentially a line driver in Hertl, and you end up with not nearly as much added offense from that line. Now moving down to the next line, that's the one that I really don't fully understand, because I don't find necessarily Hertl and Karlsson to be like the dominant defensive force together. I think they're both excellent defensive players, but I think they do it in a much different way. Immediately taking Hertl out of the middle, I think you lose some of that defensive prowess. So doing that, I don't fully understand. Then beyond that, Mantha has not really found himself in this series and has not really found himself in the playoff. I guess it's the same thing, plus playoff series. He just has not been much of an impact player. I don't think he's hurting them per se, but he's not really been an impact player. So to me, I don't understand why that's not Dorofeev, or that's not Howden, and Dorofiev's not with Stevenson and Stone. I can't quite figure that one out. The only thing that made sense to me is that we're going to keep using this to keep defending. I don't even see the matchup benefit of it. I don't like switching centers there. It doesn't make sense to me. It didn't make a lot of sense. And for it to come out and really flop is disappointing, and maybe arguably one of the first times I can really stand here and say, I think the decision made there by Cassidy was not good. Like, that was not a good decision to change up what they were doing, to put yourself in a position where you're saying, we're going to try to generate more offense in a series that you do not need offense. They need to defend. If they're going to win this series, it's going to be making life difficult on Dallas. It has been proven over and over and over again. This series, last series, in the middle of all the regulation games in between, when the Golden Knights defend at the level that they can, they will score plenty. They will find enough offense that they don't have to worry about it. They do not need to generate this transition offense, to generate this in-zone offense, to do all these things, to draw penalties and get their power play going. No, defend the way that you can, take advantage of the opportunities going the other way, and you have enough talent on the ice between Marchessault and Eichel and Hanifin and Pietrangelo and Karlsson and Stone and Stevenson and Theodore and apparently now Braden McNabb. You have enough with all of them to get the job done by simply defending and taking the chances when they go the other way. That is not what this lineup change did. This lineup change was meant to get more offense out of everybody. They didn't think they were getting quite enough out of that middle six, so they do a little switcheroo. Unfortunately, it's moving a player out of center and putting a different player into center when your winger, who's supposed to be one of your best players, and I think will eventually get to being one of your best players, hasn't quite been the offensive line driver that we are used to in his tenure as captain of the team. So to do that, now you're asking too much out of Howden. You're taking some of the responsibility off the plate of Hertl, and you end up in a situation now where you end up not even defending anywhere close to the level you were at. Forecheck was not nearly as effective because it wasn't getting there as quickly. That is also potentially because of how they changed up the lines. I do not understand the line change. I didn't understand it this morning. I guess I did a little bit when we thought maybe Karlsson wasn't playing. Then he is in. I do not understand that decision. I do not understand how we're going to go forward with that, because if you've given an opportunity to give these guys some life, which has now happened, you do not want to give them more by sticking with lines that aren't working defensively. I think they have to go back, and I will make the argument, I think Dorofeev needs to get into the lineup. Whether that's Howden or that's Mantha or that's someone else, I think Dorofeev needs to get into the lineup because I don't think he's enough of a defensive problem to not take that added offense. And the defense wasn't even very good. That's the part that, like, I can't quite wrap my head around is why would you change anything with your middle of the ice? That's the part I just don't understand, is that your middle of the ice was dominating, was awesome through the neutral zone, was awesome in front of the goal, was very good at helping exit. The forechecking was halfway decent. To then make that change, and it's a significant change, and put different responsibilities on different players in a series when you know this team's going to come and push back at you, not my favorite thing. So that is concerning, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the word is on that. We will see what we end up with going back. I'm interested to get Cassidy's information. I was a little surprised. He did 2 questions today in the post-game press conference and then was out of there because no one else asked him a question. I didn't realize that we were going to be in that situation. I would have just asked him right there. It's one that I wanted answered. Luckily, we get him tomorrow. We're going to get him on Monday. It's really not that big a deal in the grand scheme of things. We don't need to know tonight, but that's going to be something that they're going to have to answer to and figure out, is why would you make this change and how much impact do you think that had on what happened? To me, I think it's fair to sit back and say, I don't think the line changing is necessarily what caused this. I think that's perfectly fair. And I think I would subscribe to that theory like 90%. But that little 10%, I wonder how much different would it have been not making this change, not doing something that was unnecessary in search of something you do not need. That's the part that I just can't get past, is that you do not need to attack this team the way that maybe you are going to have to against, say, a Winnipeg or a Colorado or a Edmonton or whoever, Vancouver maybe even as well. If we get to that point, this is not that team. This team is about slowing them down and forcing them to get frustrated in the offensive zone and then taking what they give you as opposed to you giving them things. That's where I'm at on that. If anybody has questions, go ahead and pop them in the comments. I'll take any questions that anybody has for the rest of this game. The overall sense of the series to me is not like the wheels have fallen off here. The Golden Knights are in a big trouble. Like, I don't really feel any of that. Obviously, up 2-0, now 2-1. They played a great game in your building. There's going to be a little bit more weight towards maybe they are alive and possibly a little bit more dangerous in this series. But to me, like, you look at this and it's like, well, that's as good as they can play. They can't do better than what they got. Can we get that performance from Logan every single time? Probably not. If that's what we're relying on, this team ain't doing much this season. And that's nothing against Logan. Logan can do the best he can do. Yeah, it was too much to ask of the goalie. It just was. It was just too much to ask. It's unrealistic to get that response that often. Just not going to happen. But my point is, you did get it. You did find a way to push that game to 4-on-4 and get that quick goal. Shout out Braden McNabb scoring 2 of the Golden Knights' 9 goals now in this postseason. You did take advantage of an opportunity where he made an awesome save, whiffed clearance from McNabb, leads to a 2-on-1 the other way, and now you've got another opportunity. You've now tied the game. You've now reset a game where you're getting your butts kicked. That's the best Dallas can throw at you. That's everything they've got. And still, we walk out of here in overtime, 18 minutes or whatever it is into overtime, having just allowed one bad entry, and really it wasn't even that bad. Kid made a good play, right? So they make it so cold in here, by the way, during the playoffs. It's ridiculous. I do not believe that they will have a full practice tomorrow for this question. I think that they will have some sort of situation where they have the guys skate that are not that haven't played, and then coach will probably talk. So we will see. Do Lines and does Dorofeev get in the lineup? I don't know that the answer is going to be Dorofeev for Cassidy after this game. I think it's the better option. I don't know that after this game, that's going to be the answer, because defending was the issue in this game. And I don't think they're going to look at him and say, that's the plan. I think they'll go back to what they had in games 1 and 2. I believe that is the plan. Do you think Stone was limited tonight? I don't. I think they put Stone in every situation that they want Stone into. And I'm seeing like Stone's skating isn't very good, all these different things. Yes, I understand it. This is just how Mark Stone skates. He looks weird. He always has. It's not very fast. He can still make impacts on the game. The difference is right now, he doesn't seem quite at that speed, which is not that surprising. I think he will continue to get better. Mark Stone is not at the high priority of my list of this needs to get better. And unless they lose a couple more games, like being up 2-1 gives you that little bit of leeway on he's not quite playing the level that he can. Does Mantha get a healthy scratch? I do not think he will in this particular, at least right away. It wouldn't shock me down the stretch if he does. Is Carlson hurt? My guess would be yes. I don't have any information on that, but to miss practice yesterday, to miss morning skate today, I have to imagine something's going on. I think he's been pretty good, though, so I'm not all that worried about it. On the broadcast, Hank told how to score on Logan. He drops down to one knee, and he can't get down the other one without exposing himself. Yeah, they've scored a bunch of 5-hole goals. They obviously caught him going down a little bit early on that one. If we're concerned about Logan Thompson after this game, something's massively wrong. So I don't even want to go in too much on that, other than just saying he was spectacular. Like I don't even think it's hyperbole at all to say that was the best goaltending performance in the history of the Golden Knights. All things considered, like the situation, what's going on, what was thrown at him, the way that they got back into the game. Like I just don't. So that's that. Still think Vegas wins. I do. I never thought that they were going to sweep. I started to kind of say it and like, well, if it can go the same way. I know how good this Dallas team is. I've said it before. I think it's the best team the Golden Knights have ever played in the postseason. I still believe that. I still believe the Golden Knights are going to win the series. I think the matchup is still good. I really do think that the matchup still plays in Vegas's favor, that they don't have to press for offense against this team. I think they're going to win this thing in 5 or 6. I don't think it's going that far. I think this game is probably going to be more of an anomaly than it is the norm. Does that mean they're going to win every single game the way that they were winning them in Dallas? No, it doesn't. Would it shock me if they drop another one? No, it would not. But no, I'm not concerned that they're going to win this series. I think they're still in complete control. They just have to stop what has been happening, which is what DeBoer was harping on in his postgame, which is he thinks Dallas has gotten better from game 1 to game 2 to game 3. I think that's perfectly fair to say. I think they have to maybe look in the mirror a little bit more about what happened in the last 5 minutes of game 2, but I do believe they are improving as they have gone on. Thanks again to the Jimmerson Law Firm for sponsoring all of our Periscopes this season. I'll be back for another one on Monday, whenever that one is, and then apparently I am off to Dallas after that. So we are going back for game 5, and hopefully we come back with a series win and we don't have to deal with a game 6 here. That's all I got for tonight. That's it. Good night. See ya.